Hello there, this is Peter Beckett. I'm the Village Marketer at your service. And today I want to help you build what could be a daunting task for you, and that is your very own sales process. And with my help, of course, right? So let me share my screen. I've got a simple little PowerPoint presentation for you that I hope puts all the pieces together for you. All right? So away we go. So here we are. Yes, today we're going to start building your sales process. The objective is for you to consistently empower people to buy from you. Now let me give you an overview of the stages I've put together to empower you to create a sales process that you are very comfortable with. The 3 stages that I've created for you, and you've got some of these already. The first one was collaborative client conversations. The second one was double your client value. And the third one in the series is called building your sales process. And just to make sure you're familiar with what I'm talking about, this was the first one, collaborative client conversations, right? That was the PDF for that one. And remember, it said there, you don't have to be the best in the world, just have to be the best in their world. The second one was double your client value. And there were 5 elements there. Which problems do you solve? Who do you solve the problems for? Confidence in yourself, relationships that position you, etc., etc. That was double your client value. And the last one in the series is called building your sales process. And simply put, it is a potential customer's buying journey, from clarifying with you that they have a need to realizing they need a solution, and then empowering them to take the next steps and make an actual purchase from you or with you. But before we go any further, just a reminder that my conversational sales philosophy is a non-traditional sales process based on the 4 E's, right? Engage, educate, empathy, and empower. This is all about being prospect and customer focused and creating memorable moments for them as they experience a buyer's journey with you. Today is not the time to go into these again in detail, but we can do so if you wish in our coaching sessions together. You see, what we're focusing on today in preparation for your sales process is for you to create a blueprint that reflects the buying journey that customers will go on with you, your customer journey blueprint. And that's what we're focusing on right now. I'm sharing, for example, the self-selling blueprint I learned some time ago from a fellow Aussie mate of mine by the name of Steve Brosman. Now, obviously, I don't claim any authorship of this blueprint outline, as the concept is from Steve. But you can and you should use the 4-part outline as the basis of your own buyer's journey blueprint. And you can see on the screen there, clarity, connect, collaborate, and confirm. And I want to expand on these just a little bit to make sure it's clear for you. So the 4 blueprint steps again are clarity, connect, collaborate, and confirm. Now notice that we not mention the word sales anywhere, right? Because this permission-based and prospect-focused process is all aimed at empowering the prospect to make the best buying decision for themselves. And underlying these 4 steps, where you are building interest and the buying energy of your prospect, there are 3 levels of influence at play. There's imposed influence, collaborative influence, and self-influence. Imposed influence is where it's traditional sales, where you qualify your leads and you educate and you try to sell them, right? You're imposing your influence on them. Collaborative influence is where you're working together with your prospect or your customer, and they see you as a leader and with someone who's got a unique solution, and they are pleased to be able to have you share with them the way to solve their problem. They don't feel imposed upon, they feel part of the process because you're collaborating with them, And in this particular approach, you also make sure you cover not just the physical impacts of any decision they make, but also the financial ones and even emotional ones. That doesn't always happen in the traditional sales model, right? And finally, there's self-influence. That's the top level of influence. This is where your prospect or your customer takes ownership of the decision-making that they make. So the key in your blueprint process is to work towards empowering your prospect to embrace self-influence and make an empowered buying decision with you. More on that in a minute. But first and foremost, let's get started on the actual blueprint itself. It's all about clarity. And there are so many people that don't have clarity. Actually, Steve Brosman, who I learned from when it comes to having blueprints for all major business actions, has a saying, and it goes something like this. Clarity leads to cash flow, but confusion kills conversion. Keep that in mind, okay? Question for you. Do your audience and prospects know exactly who you are and what you stand for? Do they know your unique positioning? Do you have a unique positioning? Because if you're not seen as a unique leader in the marketplace, you're basically lumped in with everybody else. And you're just another network marketer or just another business coach. And if that's the case, you just look like everybody else. And that means you are generally going to be competing on price, not on value, because they don't see value in you. And it's going to be very hard to have people coming to you wanting to buy. You're going to have to work really hard to get them as a customer. So the first thing is to be able to create your unique positioning a little bit. As I mentioned in the Collaborative Client Conversations document, you need to become the something rather than a something. For example, the client relations specialist rather than a business coach. You need to get people thinking that you are different and someone they need to check out further. Then the next thing you have to be absolutely clear on is who are the people that you can best serve. Not only who they are, but what are their needs? What are their problems? What are their number one desires? What are their wants? All these things you need to know about them. Then how can you be clear on communicating that to these same people? And again, with clarity, what programs or courses or products do you have? Be clear about that. I mean, are you selling your time for money, or do you really have a program or a course or a workshop or something that is based on the outcomes that you are going to deliver? If so, get clarity on that and make sure your audience knows that. And finally, you need to be clear on the payoffs, the results or the outcomes that you're going to deliver to your prospect, to your new client. When you have that level of clarity and you can communicate it, then it's going to be so much easier to have the right people coming to you, right? Because they see exactly who you are. You are not just some brown box like everybody else. You are somebody different, somebody of value, somebody that think, wow, I need to get to know them. And speaking of clarity, there are 3 different levels you need to be aware of as you're putting your customer buying journey blueprint together. The first clarity is about being absolutely crystal clear on what it is that you do and the people you serve and the outcomes that you deliver. Second, that your prospects are very clear on what you're going to do for them. And thirdly, this is the compound growth opportunity for you, right? You can get this when your customers can talk about you with absolute clarity. Then you will explode your business. So there are the 3 different levels of clarity. And it's so important that you get this bit right first, okay? Then the next part is connecting and attracting the right people. How do you become more attractive? You have to do this by being a giver, providing value like Facebook Lives or webinars or workshops. When you position yourself as a person of interest and value, it will also cultivate a lot of sales. Now, many sales trainers will say you have to qualify people, but that is old school thinking. When you're connecting with people, you don't have to qualify them at all. Okay? Qualifying people is really saying, I'm going to decide if you are the right person for me to sell something to. It's all about you, not about them, right? Cultivating them is giving them pertinent information, giving them some things to do. So they actually have to jump through little hurdles to get to the next bit with you. So you're attracting them and you're cultivating, not qualifying, right? And what I mean by little hurdles, for example, is maybe they have to opt in to your mailing list to get certain types of content or information, or attend a webinar or a workshop. So they're actually self-qualifying, okay? So if you're cultivating, then you're watering them like they're seeds in a pot. You're fertilizing them, and you're also pruning some of the people that you don't want them. And then those that are cultivated are going to come to you warmed up and enthusiastic when they're ready. It's like the old phrase, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. You don't push them, you don't persuade them, you don't convince them. You simply are cultivating the relationship and letting them come to you. And really, isn't it great to have people that are ready to talk to you rather than you chasing them? I mean, chasing them is just going to cause stress to both you and the other party, right? We all know that. The next thing is to engage. And to engage with them is to show understanding, patience, and make sure that you are not putting yourself in a situation where people are thinking, when's the pitch coming? Rather focus on them and always keep them at the center of attention, and do not, under any circumstances, bring up your solution, your offer, your product, whatever it may be, in the conversation at all. You have not earned the right yet. You engage with them to discover about them in a genuine fashion. That's all you do. Then the next thing is to energize. Now, I mentioned the use of the term discovery session or strategy sessions. These now are really being perceived simply as a sales pitch. Now, I've used the word discovery or strategy sessions, and I certainly don't use them as a sales pitch, but that's got nothing to do with the thing. The thing is, if they're perceived to be a sales pitch by the prospect, then that's exactly what they are. Hence, you need to come up with an appropriate name for your high value call that you're hoping that your blueprint process will lead to, right? This is really important because, I mean, the minute that we know that we're going to get on a free discovery call, for example, or a free strategy call, we know that's your opportunity to sell something to me, right? And there's no perceived outcome and there's no perceived value at all. In fact, you probably won't even turn up. And most people are thinking, I know where I am. I know who I am. I don't need to be discovered. But when you use a result or an outcome-based title for the call, this unique title creates curiosity and makes them much more eager to get that value from you. And don't forget this 1 minute, but extremely important step. To energize them even further before they get on the call with you, create a little pre-call 60-second video. Then when they get on the call, they're excited and they're enthusiastic and they're not at all skeptical. And I can assure you, every time I create a pre-call video, that person always turns up on the call. You see, they're excited to get on the call with you because it's going to be valuable where you share the distinct opportunity to experience high value outcomes for them and with them. Then once you start engaging with them and cultivate the relationship even further, then they are building up their buying energy to work with you. Keep that in mind. And I'll show you a little graph soon about buying energy. Now, the next part is collaboration. And the best way to do that is with a blueprint just like this. Share your blueprint with the prospect so they can see exactly where you're taking them on their buyer's journey with you. And of course, this removes so much fear and skepticism, as well as bypassing many common objections, because they can see that you are genuine. They can see what you're trying to do to help them. So together, you collaborate on your blueprint together, right? You can work out some value pit stops where you actually stop on a spot, understand what their pains or needs are or their desires may be, help them solve it, create a little solution for them, then quantify the solution. So at the end of the session, all the values add up, all the little pit stops add up, and they're going to receive so much more value than their potential investment in your solution. That is what a blueprint is. And that's all part of what is called the blueprint conversion system. It's a system where you're demonstrating value far in excess of what they're expecting to pay. And when it's added up, quite often I'll get to the point in this conversation, I'll say, wow, this is fantastic. How can we work together? And that can happen to you over and over again by using a blueprint approach, collaborating with them, not pushing them, not persuading them, not doing anything else but working with them. And of course, all this collaboration takes place from a position of empathy, where they see you taking the time and the interest to find out about them. So you've got the empathy, you've got your blueprint, and you've got your value pit stops. And then as you're going through the collaboration, remember you're working together to create a collaborative influence that in turn, with more trust, energy and empowerment from you, leads them to self-influence, where they will take ownership for the decision that they make, as I mentioned to you before. Remember, people love to buy, but they hate to be sold. We all know that, right? But here's another one for you. They love to be led, but they hate to be persuaded or convinced. Now for the last part. When you've done it right, all you have to do is confirm, and basically you're just confirming your clear understanding of their number one challenge or desire, and that your work will provide the transformation that they have been looking for. You got the solutions that they're after. The value is significantly greater than what they're about to invest. So they're feeling pretty good about things, right? And then it's just a matter of confirming the next steps. Most objections, if not all objections, are thrown out the window before you get to the let's confirm how we're going to work together stage. So now you should appreciate a little more the diagram that shows your customer buying experience and their increasing levels of energy. As you can see there, right? You start off as an authority, a person of interest because you're giving value. You cultivate the relationship to a point when you seek permission to invite them for a high value call, not a discovery call, not a strategy session, right? Think of a different name. Before the call, create a little video for them and then hold the call. As you can see on that little table there, the buying experience on the bottom axis and the buying energy on the vertical axis that's going up and up and up as you start building relationships with that potential client. Make sense? Your final piece of your buyer's journey blueprint is to have questions prepared, not scripted, just prepared, that lead your prospect to connect, cultivate, collaborate, and confirm. Okay? I look forward to collaborating with you to build your sales process. And I hope you found this enlightening and helpful. I'll talk to you soon.